Okay, so now we are being recorded at this point. It looks like there's 9 people plus myself. So take a look at who's on the call and see if the majority of people from your groups were there are here now from the meeting role plays that we did. Can you all still hear me?
Yes, we can. I just try to remember which one of these people was in my group. I can't remember.
Okay.
I would not say majority.
Okay. Do we have enough people to, in your opinions, do you have enough people to really continue it, or should we just move on to the stuff we're going to do today?
Move on to the next step.
Okay. I changed up the order on the syllabus a bit. We are going to do negotiations today. They kind of run hand in hand with meetings, so we'll start off with a negotiations handout. Then there's an exercise that we'll do with some missing words that you use in negotiation phrases. Then we have a list of negotiation reasons, a way to introduce reasons, and then some different role plays for you guys to do around negotiations. And if there's time, we have additional role plays as well. So I'm hoping in the first 40 minutes or so that we can really get through all of the negotiation stuff that's in the handout so that you guys have a lot of time to speak, because I feel like you haven't been getting as much time to speak because it's taken longer to do this than I've thought. Any questions before we get going?
Nope.
Okay. Oh, I do have a question for you, though. I just remembered. Petri sent me a list of your groups or your companies for his class. For example, is anyone on this call who's in their own group for the company thing in Petri's class? Some people look like we're doing it solo. Okay, so nobody's in their own group. I have the list. I can pull it up. Well, I'll put the list up on the screen real quick here. Okay, this is the list that I got from Petri. I just copied it straight out of my email. I'll try and make it a little bigger so you guys can see it okay on your screens. One issue we have is that some of you may be with other people, but you might be the only one in your little company that is attending this English class. So these were going to be group presentations, but now we have some people that'll be going solo, so we need to figure out how we want to do that. If some people are okay going solo, while others are in groups, if everyone wants to go solo. So have you guys haven't really started on the work on this yet, is that correct? On these companies?
That's correct.
Okay. Has Petri given you a due date when they must be done? The websites.
I think the milestone is 20th of what is jouluku in English?
December?
December, yes.
So the websites would be due in basically 3 weeks.
Yeah.
That's the halfway.
Halfway.
Yeah.
Okay. And so then the final, do you know when that's due yet?
I'm not sure, but was that on January? Someday, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Anybody? Who knows? I take it if I find the date from my papers.
Okay, I'm just going to check our schedule as a group here.
So the deadline is 16th of January.
Okay.
But maybe we can speak something about this project in next class.
Well, you don't have to do it like early for me.
Okay.
What I'm thinking is, if I remember correctly, we have class Monday night the 11th. And then I believe we have class, our final one is Saturday the 16th? The 23rd. I'm going to need to double check that. Once I know what our final day is, we can plan it in and around that time. So it wouldn't be due, you wouldn't have to do your presentations, I don't think, before the 11th of January. So that should give you, obviously you'll be done by then. Is everyone good with that?
Yes.
Okay. I am going to pull up the next thing we'll do. It's in Moodle. I would suggest that you use Moodle if you can, because it's not the largest. It's like a pamphlet that was scanned, so it's not really big print, and you'll probably be able to see it much better on your own screen than you would on mine. And it is in Moodle under Session 5. It's the PDF file called English for Negotiations. Milestone 12, deadline 16th of January. Thank you very much. Okay, so does everybody have that negotiations open now? That pamphlet?
Yes.
Okay. So, on what makes a successful negotiation, we're not going to really go through that part. I want to talk more about the language and the key terms on how to negotiate, like the planning and beginning and during the functions. That's a little more in the business end of things, and we could cover that if you really wanted to, but it is there for you to read. We're just not going to focus on it so much in this particular class. So we're going to start with page 2, the negotiator and key terms. Somebody can read type of negotiation. Does anyone want to volunteer for that?
Suvi can be volunteer.
Okay.
Types of negotiation.
Negotiation.
Negotiations take place in different situations, both at home and at work. Broadly speaking, one can identify 3 main types of negotiation. 1. The win-win format. 2 parties try to find a mutual beneficial agreement and establish the basics for a lasting relationship. 2. Both teams look more for independent advantage, with less emphasis on a long-term relationship. 3. The win-lose format, when the two sides see their counterparts as opponents, for example in some trade union and management negotiations.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any questions about any of the terms or words used there?
I would like to ask what is that counterpart?
Okay, a counterpart is the person that is basically in the same position as you on the other side of the issue or the other side of the table. If you and I are debating about whether or not our business should stay open later, I'm on one side saying yes, you're on the other side saying no. You're my counterpart in that debate or discussion. Does that make sense?
All right. Yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Or as Jari put up, vastapuoli. Okay, so somebody want to volunteer to read us all about the perfect negotiator, all those little words right around the person? Okay, Jari.
Yikes.
They're not even sentences, they're just words. You can do it.
Okay. Persuasive, polite, rational, firm, flexible, sensitive, confident, clear, competent, knowledgeable about business sector, culturally aware, constructive, controlled, charismatic, articulate, prepared, honest, tenacious.
Okay, thank you. See, that wasn't so hard. Do be careful of using the Finnish R in English, though. Any questions on any of those terms?
What is this first one, this persuasive?
Persuasive, that means that you are able to persuade people, to convince them of your point of view.
Suostutteleva.
Okay, thanks.
Any others?
The last one, tenacious.
Tenacious. That means you really stick with it. You don't give up until something's finished or until it's resolved. Somebody who keeps sticking with it and keeps trying and putting effort into it until it's all sorted. I'm not sure what the Finnish word is. Does somebody know?
Sisukas.
Sitkeä.
Hellittämätön.
Jääräpää.
Look at that, all sorts of words. Does everyone know what charismatic means?
Yes.
Okay.
We have Finnish word karismaattinen.
Oh, nice. That's an easy one. Good. Okay, well, if there's no other questions there, negotiating parameters, I'll just read through that real quick, and then you can let me know if you have questions. Discount, payment terms, quantity, documentation, delivery, credit, commission, exclusivity, licenses, warranties and guarantees, insurance, quality control, penalties, legal issues and jurisdiction. No questions?
Everything seems to be.
I'm hoping the next word was clear.
Yeah, clear.
Okay, good. Anyone want to volunteer to read the paragraph, the negotiation, or should I pick on somebody?
Ari can read it.
Okay, thanks, sorry.
The negotiation. After initial small talk to establish a good rapport, both groups normally present their opening position. However, strategies and tactics have been prepared and there is usually room for maneuver. Parties will prepare an ideal position, but will be prepared to make concessions and move to a fallback position to meet the required conditions. Proposals and counter-proposals will be made as part of this process. It may also be necessary to identify and overcome obstacles to a settlement. After a great deal of bargaining or haggling, both parties should compromise without losing face. Finally, a deal will be reached and a contract will be signed.
Thank you. Any questions?
What is this room for maneuver?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. You're very quiet.
This room for maneuver.
Maneuver. To
Maneuver.
maneuver is to move, move around a bit. So when you say there's room for maneuver, it means there's usually room for you to adjust your position a little bit, maybe ask for less money or be willing to change the terms. So it means that you are willing to adjust or be flexible a little bit.
Tai että sulla on ylipäätänsä liikkumatilaa siinä neuvottelussa, liikkumavaraa. Nappuloita kauluksissa sopii jotain.
Okay.
Okay. So in the next two areas where it has an offer in the middle of a sun shape and then it has a negotiation, the same thing. The way it works on the left side of each is a list of adjectives that are frequently used with that noun. And then on the right is a list of nouns you can use with those. Verbs that you can use with those nouns. So I'm going to go through and just read that to make it clear. So I'm starting with offer, and I'm starting on the left, and then I'll move to the right after I go through the list on the left. So it's an attractive offer, a reasonable offer, a fair offer, a tempting offer, a tentative offer, a balanced offer, an introductory offer. Those are frequently used adjectives with an offer. And on the right side, the verbs, you make an offer, propose an offer, consider an offer, accept an offer, reject an offer, appreciate an offer, agree to an offer, or withdraw an offer. So, does anybody have any questions about those words being used with an offer, as far as what the meaning is or how they're used? Okay, I'm guessing no, since I haven't heard anything. So I'm going to do the same thing with a negotiation. On the left, it's a delicate negotiation, tough negotiation, detailed negotiation, preliminary negotiation, high-level negotiation, marathon negotiation, lengthy negotiation. And with verbs, you enter into a negotiation, you conduct a negotiation, renew a negotiation, resume a negotiation, adjourn a negotiation, break off a negotiation. Any questions there?
No, we are clear.
Okay. And then on the right, prepositions. If you're using negotiate as a verb, you negotiate with someone, you negotiate about something, negotiate from a position of strength or weakness, to negotiate in good faith. So if there's no questions about that, we're going to move on to the next page. Which is opening, creating the right climate. Oops. Okay, so any volunteers to read, at least half of page 3?
Ville can try.
Okay, thanks, Ville.
At the beginning of negotiation, it is vital to establish a good relationship with the other party, a positive climate in which the discussions can take place. Where I continue.
Oh, you can go through the different greetings: first meeting, follow up, and welcoming.
Oh, okay, yes.
And then go to the left.
Okay. Welcome. Greet the visitor. Introduce yourself and colleagues. Small talk. Ask about their trip. Polite offers a drink. Get down to the business. Greetings. First meeting. How do you do? Pleased to meet you. Follow-up meeting. How are you? Fine. It's good to see you again. Welcoming. On behalf of, I'm very glad to welcome you too. It's a pleasure to see you here. We are delighted to be here. Is that enough?
Yeah, that's fine. I'll pick on someone else.
Yes, thanks.
Thank you. Who's next? Okay, Ismail.
Okay, names. My name is, please call me. Introductions. Let me introduce you to, he's in charge of, he looks after, he's our director, manager. She's just taken over the head of. Have you met? I think you've met. Small talk. How was your flight? How was the trip? Where are you staying? This isn't your first visit to, is it? How was your weekend? Polite offers. Let me take your coats. Would you like a coffee? Shall I organize a taxi for the end of meeting? Getting started. Right, perhaps we should begin. As we are little short of time, we should get started. We've got very full agenda, so let's get down to business.
Thank you. Any questions about any of that? Okay. I'll just go through the box interactive small talk strategies, and we will do more with small talk in the coming weeks. So ways to show interest, or appropriate noises you can make to show interest. Really? That's interesting. Yes, yeah, I see, Echo interesting facts. So if you're meeting someone for the first time and they tell you something interesting, you kind of repeat it back to them as a question, and that will usually encourage them to respond again. So, responsible for 3,000 people, born in Egypt, and then the other person would say yes, and would be most likely to expand on that, keeping the conversation going. Answer questions and develop answers. That's right, and yes, especially. Those are ways of continuing after you've answered a question. Comment. So I suppose you don't have a lot of spare time, so you have to work abroad a lot. So really open, easy questions. And people will usually respond with more than just a yes or no. Take turns return questions. It's always easy when they ask you a question to answer it and then say, and you? Do you ski? Or what about you? Are you a golfer? And then finding common areas with I like, I don't like, I think. It seems fairly basic, but it's also part of my culture to do small talk, so it's second nature, but it can be really difficult for Finns because it's not part of your culture at all. You just tend to get much more down to business right away. So if there's no questions about that, then we can move on to agreeing an agenda. And I assume you all remember what an agenda was from last week.
Yes, we remember.
Okay. And yes, Jari, you might need to work on your small talk just a little bit based on the message you sent. Okay, so who wants to volunteer to read the beginning of part 4? Okay, let's see here.
Suvi can read it.
Okay.
The agenda. And then is the hard word first. Whilst.
Yeah.
Or what is it? Whilst.
Whilst.
Whilst informal negotiation often don't require a more formal agenda, it is usually important to negotiate a procedure and agenda at the start of a meeting. Certainly, an agenda should not be imposed or assumed. As regards sharing or controlling, this is usually the responsibility of the host company. Do I go?
Oh, yes.
Future? Okay. Procedure. To beginning, I think we should first agree a procedure for the negotiation. May I suggest that we begin by establishing a procedure for the session. I think we could begin by outlining our position then. After that, we should hear your presentation. Then we'll have a question and answer session. Finally, checking for agreement approval. How does that sound? Is that okay? Would you agree? Global objectives. Okay, we are here today to the main objective purpose of today's meeting is I'd like to start by saying a few words about the meeting today and what we expect to achieve. Introducing the agenda. We've drawn up an agenda. Let's just run through the agenda. As you can see, there are 2, 3, 4 items on the agenda. I'd like to take first. We aim to deal with cover under item 3. We've put last. Okay, thank you.
Any questions? Okay, well, I did just check, and the first word she pronounced, I was incorrect. It's not whilst, it's whilst.
Okay.
It is never used in America. It is British English, and it's not quite as common nowadays. It means the same thing as while. So in American English, we would say, while informal negotiations often don't require, and they say whilst. That's more formal. You don't ever have to use it. You can always use while if you prefer. So I apologize. I wasn't quite, I thought I was right, but then I started thinking about it and I just double checked. So it is whilst. So I apologize for that. Also, Suvi, it is answer, not answer. You don't pronounce the W in answer.
Answer.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah, the silent letters in English can be really difficult, I know. So if there's no questions...
They really are.
Yeah, I know, because you pretty much just have to memorize them. There's not always so many rules about them. And, you know, unfortunately, our spelling doesn't really represent the way you pronounce stuff, so I can imagine it's quite difficult. Okay, so we've gone through introducing the agenda, so the rest of the page, Janne, how about you read that?
Okay, I'm negotiating the agenda. No, the roles.
Nope, negotiating the agenda, aren't we?
Okay. We see 3 issues. Can we concentrate on? We would like to look at, we would want to consider, may we leave that till later, and roles is going to sit in, is going to take the minutes. Would like to say a few words about, you are going to give us a presentation, timing. It will take 2 hours. It won't take long. I need to be away by o'clock. That gives us 2 hours. I suggest that we take a break, a lunch at. How are you fixed for time? Informal context. Questions? Okay. Are there any questions at this point? Would you like to ask or add anything? If you have nothing to add, we can move on to outlining our position.
Okay. Under timing, where it said, how are you fixed for time? That's informal. And a lot of times in the States, if it's informal, we'll also say, how are you on time? So how are you on time? Meaning, do you have a lot of time? Are you in a rush? Or how are you doing for time? We'll also say that. There's different ways to say it, just to find out what someone's time limit is, if they're in a hurry, if they have nothing to do, what's going on. So any questions on anything from negotiating the agenda down?
No questions.
Okay. So opening statements. And that's going to be Yanni.
Opening statements stating your position. Strategy holding back. It's important to give yourself some room to maneuver later. So don't present your best offer immediately.
Immediately?
All right, cannot say that now. Getting feedback. Make sure when presenting that you check frequently that the audience follows and has an opportunity to ask questions and comment. Background to negotiation.
Negotiation?
Negotiation.
Very good.
Things began in, and we have been in contact now for. You all see no process and proposal and offer. I think you have all had a chance to read our. Has anything changed since? Company profile. As you know, the company has established head in. Our main activity is. Our major markets are currently we. Link to position statement. Okay, let me now turn to. Right. I should now move on to.
Thank you. Although I have a question. Do we say oko in English or do we say okay?
Okay.
There we go. Yes, it's okay. Any questions on what he read? No? Okay. And let's see who hasn't read yet. Jarno, you haven't read yet.
That's correct.
It is your turn.
Okay. From 6 clarifying positions or from somewhere else?
No, we didn't actually finish 5. So, starting with inviting interruptions, about halfway down the page.
Okay. Inviting interruptions. Let's deal with any questions immediately. Just interrupt if anything is unclear. We'll take questions at the end if that's okay with you. Stating your position. General, basically, we are interested in the long term, we would like to increase. We believe it is time for us to develop. We are looking for focus. It's essential for us to, is extremely important for us. I should stress that. Additional is a lower priority, is less important at the moment. Invite a response. Are there any questions at this stage? Do you have any comments to make on that? Would you like to clarify anything? Your turn. Okay. Perhaps we can hear from your side now. Now I think we can move on to hear your presentation. Developing arguments. Addition, furthermore, moreover, in addition, besides this. Contrast, nevertheless, however, despite this. Highlight, in particular, especially, chiefly, mainly. Cause, therefore, as a result, hence, accordingly. Shall I read the note too?
Sure, go ahead.
Use of we, let's, rather than I, you. Where possible, it's more inclusive to say we'd like to, Or let's start by talking about. Certainly, if you are a member of a team, use we rather than I.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Okay.
As you can see, we have very lots of silent letters in Finnish.
Okay, 6, clarifying positions. Minttu, you want to read some of that for us, please?
Listening. To guarantee he fully understands, an effective listener will use different techniques. Asking questions, paraphrasing others' arguments, summarizing positions constantly. Advantages of listening well. First, understand the other party's negotiation position. Develop arguments that respond to their needs. 3. Show that you are sympathetic to their position. 4. Signal that you respect, value what they have to say. Confirming negotiation positions.
Negotiating positions.
Negotiation.
Negotiating.
Okay. So, you. Is that an accurate summary of where you stand? So for you, this is an opportunity to. The most important thing for you is, as I understand it, you would like to. Is that right? I'm sorry, I'm coming through, or sort of.
Would you rather have someone else read?
Yes, please.
Okay. Any questions about what Minttu read? Okay, any volunteers to continue?
We can continue.
Okay, thanks.
Responding. That's right. Exactly. Yes, it is. Not exactly, I said. Asking for clarification. I didn't understand. What exactly do you mean by? Could you clarify one point for me? When you say, are you saying that? Could you say a little bit more about clarifying? When I say I meant, perhaps I should clarify that, of course. Not exactly. What I was saying was, sir. General questions. Can I just ask you a question about? I'd be interested to know more about.
To know.
Could you tell us?
The K is silent.
No. Yes. No. Could you tell us something about? Could I move to another question? What is this
Encouraging means showing support for the person continuing on, that you're interested in listening to them.
Okay, and how did you said that?
Encouraging.
Encouraging, showing interest. Go ahead. Of course. Yes, certainly. Please do. Go ahead.
Thank you. If I encourage somebody, for example, an example of encouraging, my parents encouraged me to play sports. They would say, oh, you should definitely play sports. Yes, that would be a great idea. We think this would be good. They were very encouraging, very supportive. So any questions on anything else that was read on that page so far? Okay, I'm guessing no. Let's see. Who else do we need to read so far? Mikko, I don't think we've heard from you today, have we?
No, we have not.
Oh, well now we get to. Great.
Yay!
That's what I was thinking.
So, defining priorities. Is your main consideration how important is this to you? I can't read. This is surprising. Is your secondary importance.
Is of.
True. Is of secondary importance. Direct answer. It is our major priority. It is a secondary issue. It is not a main consideration. Indirect answer. Well, we need to discuss this further. It is something we need to take into account. It is not something we can ignore. Getting the facts straight. Can you give me an idea of how much or many? Approximately what figure did you have in mind for? How soon? What terms would you be expecting? What would be the minimum? What would minimum you would consider? Direct answer. We would require delivery date before January. We are looking at figure of 3,000, around £3 million. Indirect answer. It's difficult to say at this moment. I can't really answer at the moment. This depends on various factors.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Okay. And I think we're going to stop here. Can finish the handout next week. I'd like to get on to something else where you have a chance to do a lot of role play, the speaking back and forth in pairs. So you actually get some practice to speak besides just reading. So I'm going to go back to Moodle. And I'm going to open, and I suggest you do too, under Session 5, Giving Reasons in Negotiations. And that's a link to a website. So actually, we'll start at the top and go through it. It's in kind of an odd order. It starts with basically some of the basics of the role play, and then we get into some language things. So let's see. Who wants to start? I think everyone's read now. So who'd like to volunteer to read the first part of this? Ari?
Yes, I can do it.
Thank you.
Business English, giving reasons in negotiations. Choose one of the things below and try to provide a good reason for it that your partner will accept. They should also provide reasons for rejecting any of your suggestions or proposals. If they reject your idea, try to persuade them. Continue until one of you gives up, then do the same with other cards below. Turn to next page if you need ideas of possible reasons.
Keep going.
Shall I continue?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Discontinuing a product line that your partner has an outstanding order for. Increasing prices by 50%. No longer doing business with customers who order small amounts, as your partner has until now. Renegotiating a contract which has only just been signed. Changing the specifications of the product which you are going to supply. Delivering later than you said you would. Supplying less than your partner needs. Not providing a discount which has always been offered before. not paying for a previous order, but still providing more orders.
Okay, any questions on any of that? So once we're done reading through some of this worksheet, then you'll get in pairs, and each one is a separate role play, basically. So the first one, discontinuing a product line your partner has an outstanding order for. Decide who is who, and think about it for a minute, what you want to come up with, and then do the negotiation. And when you're done with that one, do the next one, etc. And when you all do this, I'd like it if you all invite me into those conversations so I can just pop around. That way you don't all have to record them and send them to me, because that's kind of difficult for some of you. Obviously, if any of you get done with all of these before class ends, shoot me a message. But since there's 9 of them and we probably won't start till almost 8 o'clock, I would think that'll probably last about the half hour. Okay, so useful language for giving reasons. Any volunteers? Okay, Ismo.
Okay, useful language for giving reasons. In order to, as because, since, as since, because. So that you can. An additional reason is another good reason, because of, due to. If you're wondering why, it's important for us to. Our justification for this is, our purpose in suggesting this is, the chief main reason for this is, there are many reasons for this. The most important one is, this is because of, due to. This should help us in We have another reason for proposing this which is, we require. You are probably wondering why.
Okay, any questions about those? I think you know most of them, if not all. When you're doing the role play, it would be good if you try and mix up the language and use different phrases instead of the same thing, instead of always saying because. Alright, so hearing no questions, we're going to move on real quick, just down to suggested reasons. There's quite a few of these here, which will help you guys out. We're going to read through them just in case you don't understand any of them. Any volunteers, or do I need to get someone? Okay. Next on our alphabetical list is Yanni.
Right. Suggested reasons. Potential bankruptcy, not as we predicted, slowing down, a buyer's market, a seller's market, an unexpected and unforeseeable change in the law, government policy, change of company strategy, change of management, changes by the other person's competitors, changes by your competitors, changing business climate, changing demand for products, compliance, cost, but it is e.g.
For example.
Sorry?
E.g. means for example. It's Latin.
Okay. For example, transportation cost, storage cost, decreasing exchange rates, financial issues, cash flow, etc., increasing interest rates, lose money, M&A, merger, takeover, misunderstanding, new technology, old-fashioned, out of date, only just break even, PR, negative publicity, scandals, previous agreement was one of quality control, shrinking market, niche market, staff shortage, lack of skilled staff, supply chain problems, supply glut, taxation, technical problems, too complicated, worldwide shortages.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so that's quite a few options there. Definitely give you some things you can use and say.
What is M&A?
M&A is mergers and acquisitions. Usually refers to two companies coming together and joining.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so Ismo had a question. I've seen A period, G period. I've seen EG in FEX. Is that not official? Can you explain that a bit, Ismo?
Yes, I can't write, obviously. What I mean is, I've seen in some speak language used as FEX as for EG.
Oh,
It's
you mean FEX, for example?
Yes.
I've never seen that ever.
Okay, so that's completely unofficial.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
Not
I've never
to use
heard
that.
of the FEX.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of a pain because it's a Latin abbreviation. In fact, just a moment, I'll pull up something on it. Oh, no, I don't want to go there. So yeah, it's on the screen now, e.g., for example, is Latin for exempli gratia, apparently. So you'd say for example or such as. When you read e.g. out loud, you usually put in the words for example instead. And the other one that people confuse with it, we do it in writing also, is i.e., and that's also Latin, and that replaces the words that is. So there's an example here, for example, Iran will be stopped just short of a breakout, i.e. the actual ability to manufacture a weapon. So anyway, going back to the actual handout, any questions on anything in there besides the EG? If I asked you what these meant, you could all define them in English for me.
I would like to ask, what is supply glut?
A supply glut.
Glut.
There's an oversupply.
Oh, okay.
There's too much of whatever the product is, for example. So then, obviously the price goes down because you have oversupply versus demand.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? No others? Really? That's great. Just want to ask you to make sure, up towards the beginning, starts with the C, compliance. What do they mean by that?
It's a kind of flexibility or something.
No, compliance means basically following the rules and regulations. If you follow rules, you comply with rules. So compliance means sticking to or meeting the regulations or rules. So compliance can be within your company. If they have certain rules for certain things, a lot of times it is regulatory, such as for example, in the stock market, there's lots of different rules about, for example, insider trading, etc. So you need to have compliance with the SEC's rules. And Ismo just sent us, I guess that's compliance. I'm not going to try and pronounce it. It's a very long word. Ismo?
Yeah, I think that is.
Well, why don't you say it?
Määräysten mukaisuus.
All right, thank you. So, okay, let's see here. We have 10 of you, so that's great. That's 5 groups of 5. Minthu, are you going to be able to participate in the role play, or how's your throat? Okay, no answer from Minthu.
She's just.
Oh, there we go. She's typed it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, do your best. Thank you. So, let's see here. Let's just go. I've got a list of participants in the top. So I'll put you in pairs alphabetically according to the top, and then again invite me to your conversations and just do the role plays through this list. You don't have to do them all. Just go basically until class is over. So do them in whatever order you like. And so it'll be Ari and Ismo, Jani and Janne, Jari and Jarno, Mikko and Minttu, Suvi and Ville. So obviously I will be online. I will be listening to you guys. I will have my mic turned off unless I have something to say. If you have any questions at any point, please ask or type. So if there's no other questions, I'll let you guys start your own conversations. You obviously can leave this if you want to. Do as you need to do. Okay?